Broadcasting across California, you're watching The Issue Is.
And welcome to The Issue Is. I'm Alex Michelson, and with us this week, for the half hour, the mayor of Los Angeles, Karen Bass. And you're in the middle of so many big stories at the same time right now. Let's go through just a few of them.
Sure.
This week, the Border Patrol launched Operation Trojan Horse, arresting undocumented people in a Home Depot parking lot. Also this week, the president called you out by name for your fire response while threatening to bring the military to the Olympics in L.A. And just recently, you oversaw a breakup of one of the biggest homeless encampments in the San Fernando Valley. Plus, you were there to greet one of the biggest stars in soccer as he comes to L.A. All that in a week's work. And you came here.
That was a day in the life of being mayor of Los Angeles.
Mayor Bass, welcome back to The Issue Is.
Thank you. Always good to be here.
So let's start with the issue of immigration.
Right.
So we saw what they call Operation Trojan Horse, where they came to MacArthur Park. The Border Patrol opened up a Penske truck and then ran out. That came just days after the Ninth Circuit ruled that you cannot indiscriminately go after people in places like a Home Depot parking lot. What's your response to the decision to go forward with that operation?
Sure. Well, the fact that they would even call it Operation Trojan Horse just shows that it is a performance, and it's the performance that continues to provide a sense of terror and fear in our city. Now, what we have to look at is there is a temporary restraining order in place. They are not supposed to racially profile and go after people indiscriminately. But that was at a Home Depot. And so right after they jump out of the truck, they start chasing people through the Home Depot parking lot. How could they possibly have been targeting individuals that they suspected of committing a crime? They were targeting Latinos.
You, after this decision came out from the Ninth Circuit, held a press conference. You put out a tweet that said that we had won.
That's right.
Over the idea of indiscriminate targeting. And the Border Patrol this week put out a video using that and sending a strong message. Let's take a look at that.
Sure. I am hoping that the administration will recognize that this experiment that was practiced on the city of Los Angeles failed, and that they should not try any other level of an experiment like this.
Allow me to reintroduce myself.
I mean, so it looks like they're literally laughing at you. I mean,
But you know
what is the message, do you think, that they are sending with that video?
Well, if you recall, the original purpose was to reduce crime, was to arrest, identify, and arrest violent criminals. The fact that they would do a commercial like that or an ad or whatever it is just shows the lack of seriousness of what they're doing. They have no intention of attempting to address crime. This is about the federal seizure of power in the state as well as in the city.
Is that video, do you think, a giant middle finger to you?
Oh, sure, it's a giant middle finger to me, whatever. But the point is that if they were serious about addressing a problem, why would they do a performance ad like that?
So Greg Bavino did an interview with my colleague Bill Malugin on Fox, and he said that 30 to 40% of the people that they are detaining, they find out have criminal records associated with this, that they're taking people off the street, and that's a good thing.
You said 30% of the people that they are detaining, they find out, which means they don't know in advance. But also, what about the 60 to 70% that had no criminal record at all?
Well, they would say they're here illegally, and that in itself is a crime.
But that is not what they said originally, and that is not appropriate. So let me just go back to what we won. With that temporary restraining order, we won a decision from two levels of the court that said that what they are doing is racially profiling, that said that they didn't even attempt to provide evidence that there was a reason or a rationale behind what they're doing. Now, I know that the president has now taken it to the Supreme Court, but we also have another hearing at the end of September. So if the court decides that this temporary restraining order needs to be permanent, will our government follow the law, or will they violate their own law?
What do you think?
I'm not sure at this point in time. I will tell you that since the TRO has been in place, the raids have subsided significantly, and it's just been in the last couple of days. I don't know, are they testing the water? are they going to go?
I mean, it seems like they're trying to send a message to you. I mean, that's my interpretation of that.
They could pick up the phone and call me.
Okay.
They don't.
And they haven't. You haven't had that conversation because they say that you haven't called them.
Oh, that's not true. And actually, I was supposed to be meeting with Bovino. He canceled the meeting.
He did?
Yes, he did cancel the meeting.
When was that?
He canceled the meeting. This was a couple of weeks ago. He canceled the meeting because he said that the city of Los Angeles was preparing to join the lawsuit, and that's why he canceled it. But I did remind him, Mr. Bovino, you sued me. The federal government not only sued the city, but named me in the lawsuit.
Are you confident that the Supreme Court is going to be on your side on this?
No, I'm not. I mean, we have no idea where this Supreme Court is going to land. No idea at all. Is there value, though, in the concept that there are people here illegally and you're not supposed to be here? Well, there is value in that, but the question is, what do you do about it? So I think
they would say, well, let's work with people in jail. Let's have ICE in jails and take people that have been convicted of crimes.
Let's just go randomly scoop people off the street because they look Latino. And by the way, if there are people in jail where there is a legitimate warrant for them, that hasn't stopped. Nobody is stopping that. Sheriff Luna has said that. But to then go in the jails and say, anybody Latino here? Maybe we'll just take you. You know that they've even been taking people who are here legally, who have shown up to the immigration court for their annual appointment, and they've been detained.
Yeah. Although not deported, but they've been detained and been through that process. Another moment this week, President Trump holds this press conference at the White House about the Olympics, where you're not there, but he talks about you. Here's that.
I will use the National Guard or military. This is going to be so safe, and if we have to, because obviously you have a mayor that is not very competent. She can't get the permits for the people. The people are still waiting for their permits.
So there's a lot to unpack there. We'll get into the Olympic stuff in a second. But let's start with the fires, because he's making the point that people can't get permits. We do know that a lot of people have been frustrated that permits aren't coming faster. So what's your response to the president on the permit issue?
Well, I think a couple of seconds later, he also said that we weren't turning on the spigot for the water. So he has no clue about what he is talking about. We have issued over
There have been some permit problems, right? It's been moving
there's
slow.
Problems all over. But the thing is that we have been addressing them every step of the way. If you judge our progress based on other fires that have taken place in California, we have been months and months ahead. And so we have
And a lot of that is thanks to the Trump administration's Army Corps of Engineers, which you have.
Many times
and many times to me.
In the city of Los Angeles, to compliment the Trump administration is controversial. I never hesitated to do that. And then woke up one day and got punched in the face with ICE raids. And so we have issued over 300 permits. We have a number of permits that are going through the process, but the permitting process is complicated, and every time we find a speed bump, every time we find a problem, we address that. So he has no clue what he's talking about, just like he had no clue what he was talking about when he was talking about the water. He was actually talking about Central California, miles away from Los Angeles.
Yeah, which had nothing to do with the Palisades fire, although there were clearly problems with the water here in Los Angeles with the Palisades fire. In terms of AI and its use in the permitting process. I know we've talked about this work that's been this private-public partnership with Archistar to get that going. Where are we at on that, and is that making a difference?
Well, it is not making a difference just yet because it's not ready for prime time, but it is under development, which means, AI has to be trained, and so that is taking place right now. I think we might be about a month away from it going into full speed. So the issue there is that we have about 600 permits that are working its way through the process, but just imagine when it's 2,000. So we are getting everything in place to manage what we know is going to be a flood of permits, what we hope is going to be a flood of permits soon.
So you think about a month from now you'll have that AI technology to help speed up that in a dramatic way?
Yes.
Let's talk about the Olympics, which is what President Trump was talking about there. And he's suggesting that he's going to take a leadership role on the Olympics, the potential of bringing in the National Guard if needed. What do you make of those comments, and are you working with the White House on the Olympic issue?
Well, I know the president is very committed to the games to be the most successful, the biggest, the greatest, the bestest Olympics in world history. And so the idea of the military is always involved. Now, walking down the streets or driving down the streets of the city, but it is a national security event. So, of course, there's going to be military involved. That is always the case.
What do you see as his role and your role going forward when it comes to the Olympics?
Well, first of all, I mean, I think you could look back in the past. There have been presidents that were very visible during the opening and closing ceremony. I am sure that he will be here, and I'm sure that he will have a big presence. But is he going to run the Olympics? No. LA 28 is going to run the Olympics, which is why they were there leading the task force along with the White House.
So it's a big time for sports in Los Angeles. Not only have the Olympics coming in 28
Soccer,
and 27, we've got the
World
Super
Cup.
Bowl. In 26, we've got the World Cup. And now we've got this Korean superstar. You were there for the introduction of Sonny, the most expensive transfer in the history of MLS. What was that like, and why was it important for you to be there?
To be there, to welcome him, it was a wonderful, exciting occasion, and I know he's going to make a big splash here in Los Angeles.
And we've got one of the biggest Korean stars in Los Angeles.
That's
we've got
right.
one of the biggest Japanese stars in Los Angeles.
Let me just tell you about that.
Yeah.
Because Ohtani has absolutely made a difference with tourism.
Yeah. I mean, from a
hundreds
statistic perspective.
Well, hundreds and thousands of Japanese tourists come to LA to make sure that they go to a Dodger game. So I'm hoping that it's going to be the same thing with Korean tourists.
When we come back, Mayor Bass on homelessness. And how close are we to ending street homelessness as she promised?
We cannot accept Angelenos living like this. Some people actually fight for people to stay in these kind of conditions, and how dare they?
That is LA Mayor Karen Bass outside a encampment cleanup in Van Nuys, one of the biggest homeless encampments in all of the San Fernando Valley. You were there at a time when there were protesters in the streets protesting on behalf of keeping the encampment there. We've seen this in a lot of different cases. What is your message to these protesters?
Well, first of all, my message to the protesters is, for the second year in a row, homelessness is down. And the reason why street homelessness is down is because we've been getting people housed, not just moving them from one place to the next. So my general message is, how could you possibly want an individual to stay in squalor? And I think people that fight for that sleep very comfortably in beds at night at homes. And so I want to continue on the path to eliminate street homelessness, but again, not by punishment, not by forcing people to move from one block to another, but getting people housed and then addressing why their lives collapsed that left them on the street, doing whatever is needed so that we can move them quickly into permanent housing, and from permanent housing to self-sufficiency, so that they're not using public funds at all. If you take care of people properly, address their concerns, we can be successful.
When you talked to Jake Tapper at the beginning of your time as mayor, you made this vow by the 2026. Take a look.
My goal would be really to end street homelessness. There'll still be people in shelters and interim housing, but to at least not have people dying on our streets.
So that was the goal, to end street homelessness. We have been down 2 years in a row, but we're nowhere close to ending street homelessness.
We're not.
What do you say to critics that we're way off from that?
Well, first of all, I say to critics, this is the first time that homelessness has been down for 2 years in a row. We need to improve and expand on what we're doing, but I am still confident that we can eliminate street homelessness, and that has to be the goal. And Alex, you've heard me say this for many years. Unfortunately, until now, the goal was never to end homelessness. It was just to manage it. The powers that be, the city and the county, assumed that if they just managed it for a while, it would disappear. There was never a solid commitment, and there was never a solid process in place to eliminate homelessness. But one of the challenges I have, it's not just the protesters who say that people should stay on the street until they get a house, but it's also the system that wants to continue the bureaucracy. bureaucracy.
Well, that's what they call the homeless industrial complex.
Exactly.
This idea
and let me
that,
just
that,
tell
these,
you,
that these nonprofits and other organizations
there's nonprofits, but there's also
and
the
governmental
government.
organizations that make money by keeping people on the streets, and that there's this feeling that the process, all these people are making money while all these people suffer.
Yeah, and I don't really agree with that, because nobody's getting rich off of this. That was one reason why I did not support the idea of starting a department for homelessness that the county has done, and there is some interest in doing that on the city level, but I don't support that, because once you get a department in place, that department is going to continue to live and is not going to want to go out of existence. What we're doing instead at the city level is starting a bureau within the Department of Housing for homelessness. We can end street homelessness. We cannot go backwards and say we're now going to just deal with it from a bureaucratic manner that has not worked.
But does there need to be some sort of radical change to make it so that this goes faster and cheaper?
Yes.
Because we're not keeping up with the pace of what you want.
Yes.
Well, what does that radical change look like?
Two things. Number one, we have to get better at preventing people from falling into homelessness to begin with. And I think we have a project that is doing that we are testing at a university level and evidence to prove that we can help do that. But two, we have to be able to have interim housing where somebody can stay for about a year to a year and a half, and we need to do it on publicly owned property. And the radical change to me needs to be that all of the bureaucracy that I have been trying to address goes away, and we can get this housing, temporary housing, put in place much, much quicker. And I'm not going to stop.
Up next, a big announcement from me as we look back on our show. We are talking with LA Mayor Karen Bass, and you are so often in the news. This week, I've got a little bit of news
yes, you
to
do.
share. I recently made the difficult decision that I'm going to be leaving the station and this show to pursue an exciting new opportunity. I can't talk about the opportunity quite yet, but I am so grateful that my bosses are giving me this week and next week to look back and express my gratitude to everybody who has contributed to this show. And one of those people is Mayor Karen Bass. We have seen a lot of history together on this show. So we want to take a little bit of a walk down memory lane. You can look at camera 2, starting with your time as a Congress member. Here's some of what we did together. You were with us for our second show when the iconic civil rights leader John Lewis toured the Community Coalition, which you founded in South LA. I was the first to ask you about the possibility of becoming vice president for Joe Biden. And then we hosted this hour-long town hall on the topic. Almost got there. We hosted the first mayoral debate between you and Rick Caruso, and a primary debate as well. We were exclusively with you and Vice President Harris on the morning of your election as LA mayor. We did the first sit down with you after the LA fires, which got a little bit of attention at the time. And we did the first sit down special with your family, including your kids and your grandkids, opening up about how much they love you. So as we sort of look back, do you have a favorite moment from the show?
You know what? The one with my family, most definitely, but also the one that touches me the most is with John Lewis.
You got to take him to Community Coalition, which is a space in South LA that you started years before you were in politics to try to bring down the temperature in the area, especially between a lot of people involved in gang warfare. For you to be walking and to have this unbelievable icon walking through those halls. What did that mean to you?
It meant the world to me, because what I tried to tell Mr. Lewis, he used to always try to get me to call him John. I was like, I'm never calling you John, Mr. Lewis. But what I tried to get him to hear was how much he impacted my life personally as a child, watching the civil rights movement and seeing him and other civil rights leaders really sealed my destiny in my life. And I wanted him to understand that. And I wanted him to understand, by taking him to the coalition, how I studied the civil rights movement and applied those lessons to the formation of that organization. And interestingly, you talk about bringing the temperature down on gang violence. It's because of the lessons that we did at the Community Coalition that we've applied since I have become mayor that is a contributing factor to gang homicides going way down.
When we come back, Mayor Bass plays personal issues one last time. I just wanted to say thank you for what you have done in terms of supporting this show, supporting the work, being here, showing up. I mean, it really means a lot.
Well, thank you, and supporting you. And I do have something for you.
What's that?
If you don't mind me giving you something.
Oh, my God.
See,
wow.
I can surprise you.
Wow. Okay. I never get surprised on this show.
You gave me the perfect cue.
Okay.
This is on behalf of the City of Los Angeles, a certificate of recognition for your service to our city in terms of your reporting. Like I said, your thoughtful, meaningful reporting on the issues that are key to our city. So wherever you go next, and I hope it's not too far, put this in your room.
Oh my God, that is so amazing. Look at that. That's I've never gotten something like that.
And you didn't know I was doing that.
No, I never get surprised here because I control everything, so that never happens. All right. Well, before I'm going to surprise you with one last edition of Personal Issues. So we're doing. We have Mayor Karen Bass. This is our 30-second game. This is where we ask you your favorites. I know you love this. So here we go. Mayor Bass, what is the last show you binge watched?
Scandal. Repeat of Scandal.
Last movie you saw?
Last movie I saw. Oh, I don't remember.
Okay. Favorite Olympic sport?
Oh, gymnastics.
Last book you read?
Leaders in Crisis.
Fitting.
Yeah, I know. It was
favorite mentor?
Favorite mentor? Oh my goodness, so many mentors. I have to say my parents.
And what is the best piece of advice that you've gotten?
The best piece of advice is to stay focused, to never get off track, even though there might be a lot coming at you, to stay focused on your purpose and your goals. And my purpose and goals are always to serve Los Angeles.
That's how you see your purpose right now.
Yeah, and you've known me for a long time. I haven't changed.
Yeah, and well, mine is too. And I will continue to do that in the next thing.
Can't wait for the big
surprise. And we'll
surprise.
be back next week for the final edition for me of The Issue Is, which I can't believe, and I'm grateful that you and so many of our friends are going to be a part of that. But, you know, showing up means a lot in this world, and the fact that you showed up for us and for me, and just on a personal note, because I'm not taking the politics out of it and the endorsements and all the rest of that stuff. You are a genuinely kind and good person.
Thank you.
You have been so good to our crew and my family and everybody associated with this show. So on a personal level, thank you.
Thank you. That's the best compliment you could give me.
Mayor Karen Bass, thank you. We'll see you next week. One more time for The Issue Is. Look at this. All right.